and welcome to the video on subtracting fractions with different denominators. By the end of this video, you should be able to subtract any fraction with any different denominator. So let's take a look. Here we have a question that asks us to do 7/8 take away 6/8. To represent 7/8 in the diagram, I'm going to colour in 7 out of the 8 squares in a blue colour. For the 6/8, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those blues and I'm going to replace them with 6 yellows because I'm taking them away. Once I get rid of those yellow squares, because that's what taking away does, I'm left with just 1/8. So 7/8 take away 6/8 is just 1/8. All I needed to do was subtract the numerators and leave the denominators the same. But what happens when I have different denominators? Here I have 5/8 and I want to take away 1/4. So the 5/8 would be represented by colouring in 5 squares. The 1/4, however, would be represented by colouring in 1 out of 4 of the rectangles. This is the equivalent of 2 squares. So if I take away those 2 squares, I'm going to be left with 3/8. So how do I do that when I don't have a diagram? Well, for 5/8 take away 1/4, I want to try and change that 1/4 into 8ths. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both my numerator and my denominator by 2. This will give me a fraction out of 8, because 4 times 2 is 8. But whatever I do to the denominator, I also have to do to the numerator. So this tells me that 1/4 is the same as 2/8. My final answer is going to give me the same answer as 5/8 take away 2/8, which is pretty easy to do. It's just 5 take away 2, which gives me 3, and the 8 stay the same in the denominator. Let's take a look at some examples that are written down. Okay, in the first example, we're trying to do 4/5 take away 1/10, and they don't have the same common denominator, so I'm going to have to make sure that they do. Now this 4/5 can be changed into tenths by multiplying the denominator and the numerator by 2. If I multiply the numerator by 2, I get 8, and if I multiply the denominator by 2, I get 10. This means that this question is going to give me the same answer as 8/10 take away 1/10, which is a lot easier to do because that is just 7/10. Let's look at the second example. I can't easily change either the 2 or the 3 into the other denominator, so what I'm going to have to do is try and get a common denominator by multiplying the 2 and the 3 together. This means that I'm going to be changing my fractions into something out of 6. So when I multiplied my 2 by 3, that gave me 6. So I have to multiply the top number by 3 to get a common fraction, an equivalent fraction. When I multiplied my 2 by my 3 to get 6, I've also got to multiply the 1 by 2 as well, giving me 2/6. This means that a half minus a third is going to give me the same answer as 3/6 take away 2/6, which is just 1/6. Finally, I'm left with 1 1/4 take away 1/5. Now, I can leave this as 1 plus 1/4 take away 1/5. And I can do this 1/4 take away 1/5 and then just put it with the 1 that it started with. So let's try and work out what 1/4 minus 1/5 is. I'm going to do the same thing I did with question 2. I'm going to get a common denominator by multiplying the 4 and the 5 together. That gives me 20. So I'm going to change these two fractions into something out of 20. This 1/4 needs to be multiplied by 5 in the numerator and the denominator, meaning that 1/4 is the same as 5/20. And this 1/5 needs to be multiplied by 4. So 1/5 is the same as 4/20. So my final answer is going to be 1 and 5/20 take away 4/20, which is 1/20. And those are my 3 examples. So what should you write for this video? A heading of subtracting fractions with different denominators is a good start, and then writing down the same kind of rule that we had for the adding fractions, and that is to get a common denominator and then subtract the numerators and keep the denominators the same, as well as the 3 examples I went through when I was writing down the questions. And that's it. Hopefully now you know how to subtract fractions, but if you don't, please ask questions during class time. It's important that we understand how to subtract fractions. Good luck.